Hey guys, how you doing? jpsarrireviews here, and welcome again to another reaction video. And in today's video, I'm not only want to react to the Prime1 Studio Next Level Showcase number 11, I also want to share my final thoughts, the takeaway. There was a lot of good things in that presentation. There were some bad things as well, and some things that took me by surprise, but definitely are important because I think they are the map that we have now in front of us of what Prime1 Studio is trying to do moving forward. This is the 11th year, and they mentioned that in the video, of the 11th anniversary, 11 years of this company since it was formed, which is amazing that the time flies. Really, I still remember when they started, when they started with Megatron 11 years ago. But the company, of course, is on a totally different level. They're celebrating that, and it's amazing to me. It feels that they kind of planned it, because the presentations that we had previously, of course, they were numbered, but they were able to actually manage to have on the 11th year to have the 11th presentation, or at least that's what they call it. Now, when talking about the production level of this video, it's on another level for sure. When they say next level, they are on another level. They're on their own level. Nobody else comes close to what they're doing. Yeah, Sideshow's been trying, and I think Sideshow has improved in the way they do their presentations, but they're still miles away, far behind what its company is doing. Iron Studios is also doing. Other companies are doing presentations. J&D, everyone is trying to kind of get a piece of the pie, but Prime1 knows how to do it. The level of this video, it's probably the best so far they have done. Everything was well timed. Every presentation, everything, every teaser that was through the video that throughout these 2 hours, it was on point. It was a banger after banger. It was just amazing. It kept you going. The 2 hours didn't feel long, in my opinion. It was just an amazing spectacle to watch. Another aspect that to me is very, very important, a big message that I saw with this presentation, and I've seen other people already talking about it in social media and different groups and stuff here on YouTube as well, making videos, is about the company direction. It really, I will tell you this, Prime1 Studio is proving that the company doesn't need, I would say, A-tier franchises to succeed. In this presentation, we didn't see a lot of things from DC. They focus more on many other franchises they already also have in their portfolio. It's getting to a place where they don't really need DC. Yes, they produce a lot of stuff, but also they have canceled a lot of stuff. But the fact that the company is also pursuing other venues, where there's a lot of collectibles, I would call tier 2 licenses, at least in America, but they are probably tier 1 around the world. They're going after those things. Let's not forget, Transformers was the bread and butter at the beginning, and other things that they're doing. At the end of the day, Prime1 Studio is a Japanese company, so there are tons of licenses in Japan. In Japan alone, they can just come up with so much anime and manga. It's stuff that is actually growing in popularity. There's a lot of stuff in Hollywood, movies. There's so many, like the Alien franchise, the license for Predator. There's so many things. The gaming industry is a big juggernaut. They are producing so many things there that there's no need really to go for the traditional Marvel or even DC stuff. Yeah, this is something that perhaps disappoints people who are DC fans, but I think this is a smart move from Prime1 Studio to go after that. Doesn't mean that they don't have things from DC. They did have in this presentation, but in comparison to what they did last year or the year before, it was very small in comparison. Only 4 reveals happened here. When talking about collaborations, of course, last year's was fantastic. They have a lot of partnerships, a lot of different designers and artists involved in the concepts, particularly with the DC stuff. That was technically mostly DC stuff. But unfortunately this year, all of these artists were missing in the presentation. And whether they're not going to pursue any more projects with them, or we know that some of those projects were canceled in the end for X or Y reason. We're not privy of the reasons, really. We can just speculate here. But they're still doing partnerships. Primarily, you can see, for example, we have Josh Nisi. He's been working with them for a long time. They're doing a lot of mecha stuff. He's going to continue on. They have stuff with him. They also have Carlos Dean, that's going to be the designer for the Riddler. Some people are excited for that because, of course, they continue to build that Batman collection, that 1/3 scale statue. Also, they have Shumi Arts doing the project together for Megan, for the Megan statue. And, Shumi Arts company that is in Korea, and they do pretty much a lot of action figures and porters and stuff, so they're pursuing that partnership there. But the biggest partner here was Blizzweight. And when we were discussing the projects, of course, in this presentation, there were a lot of teasers and a lot of different things. Of course, new things that we can foresee, that we can expect to happen soon. But there were a lot of teasers from last year that we only have the teasers, but we did not see fruition. We did not see full reveals this time around. Some we did, but not everything. And primarily that disappoints some people that were expecting stuff, let's say from Demon's Soul or Elden Ring. Prime1 really tied things up a bit more, and they did not just throw a lot of things as they did before last year. Of course, last year they were, what, 3 presentations just to make one? So there were tons of things and a lot of teasers, so much stuff that was showcased. We're not sure if they're going to do a second presentation this year. It might be only a yearly thing, who knows? But so far, everything we saw is technically something that they are working on. Some projects are still teasers, but it was more compact. Now, when looking at the video, one thing is clear. I think the most clear thing to me was that Prime1 Studio is going into the quarter scale route more than ever. Yes, they're still producing 1/3. They showcase half a scale stuff, some 1/6 scale stuff, but primarily the goal was quarter scale. And you know, that makes total business sense. Yes, it is the path of least resistance, but that is the path. There are the most collectors out there. 1/3 scale collectors are going to be disappointed, but when you're looking at this sheer size of these pieces and what they're producing, do you really need to have something so huge and big to display something? I think that is a fair bet. It is fair to assume that quarter scale will sell better and more people will be satisfied. Yeah, they're already downsizing pieces like the Batman Hush and the Superman from Batman Hush and to quarter scale just to cater to that number of collectors, which in the end is the largest number of collectors. Whether we like it or not, you know, I'm not really a quarter scale collector, but to be honest, you know, makes total sense. You know, you cannot blame the company for choosing that path. And yes, it's disappointing for me as a 1/6 scale collector. I was expecting to see more 1/6 scale stuff, but it seems that they still not ready to downsize that far. Now, that brings me to one thing that really I think is important to point out. Is the way Prime1 labels everything, you know. And yes, for the longest I'm okay with it, but as you know, I never had problems. I still don't have any problem with it as long as they tell me what scale it is. I don't care if you call it this or that. But we have so many different lines now. You got the Premium Master line, you got the Concept Master line, which is normally 1/6. Then you have the Ultimate Premium Master line. Now they have the 1/3 XL. I think that was the main thing that I noticed when they're doing for Alien 3. The Alien Dog. They already produced 1/3 scale that actually originally was done as a quarter scale from Cool Props, and they came and took that design and they expanded it into 1/3, and they already sold that one, and now they come in with pretty much the same concept, maybe expanded, and now they call it XL. But to me, it's kind of ridiculous in some way. There's a lot of oxymorons in the way they presenting things because it gets confusing. But that's something that perhaps as a Western collector, as a person that has been in pretty much lives in the West, in the US, you know, we're not used to do all these things. Of course, you know, I think that simple labels are just enough not to confuse people, because when you have too many different things and then you call it this or Ultimate Premium or Premium this, or, you know, like Concept Premium, or all these things actually get confusing, and then you don't know how many collections they have, because at the end of the day, there's nothing that tells me that this is a different collection. The simplicity of Sideshow has always been that they do premium format, which, you know, premium format always is quarter scale, and that's how they label whatever is premium format, whether it has mixed media or not nowadays. But, you know, they have the comic kits, which have always been like a 1/5 scale. Now they're going into the 1/3, but they keep in the scale. As long as you name the scales, is all it matters. You can label whatever. You can put extra names and add this long names and long title. That's something that Japanese companies seem to do a lot. The scale is all it matters in the end. It's all that simple. There's not anything in between. So if you can do 1/3 scale, if you say 1/3 XL, it makes no sense. There's no 1/3 regular or 1/3 medium. You know, it's 1/3, it's one scale. Now, the biggest takeaway for me about this presentation for sure is the fact that there's no denying that Prime1 Studio is the #1 company in the world right now in the collectibles world. Yes, some people will say maybe Sideshow is better because of the reach, perhaps because of the way we perceive it here in the West, in the United States. It's an American company, of course, and we as Americans, we like to see our companies winning all the time. But the reality is that Prime1 Studio as a company is the #1. Not only because maybe we're comparing the number of sales, maybe Sideshow sells a lot more, but of course they create these big edition sizes and they sell for all the other products. So yeah, they're distributors of all kinds. Prime1 doesn't do that. Prime1 concentrates in building the best collectible possible, and of course they ask a premium for it. But they have a sheer amount of licenses that it's more than enough to sustain the company and put it at top. Not only because they are producing this stuff, it's because they do the most beautiful stuff, the best concepts possible for that stuff. And yes, other companies can really kind of come around. You know, Queen Studios is growing. Also, XM Studios is kind of a little distant right now. It's been kind of in a different path, I guess. I'm not sure exactly what XM Studios is doing. But the reality is that Prime1 Studio is the #1 company in the world. And not only that, they know it. And in the video, they said it many, many times. They are confident about what they're doing and they're not afraid. And to be honest with you, I cannot disagree more, because everyone is looking at them, whether it's Iron Studios, whether it's Sideshow Collectibles, any other company, they're paying attention to Prime1 Studio. They know that what Prime1 Studio does dictates the trend. And I feel that this is really good. Of course, other companies, J&D, Queen Studios, ANR, all of them, they're doing amazing. Infinity Studio, but they not at the same level, not yet. As long as Prime1 Studio keeps pushing the envelope, keeps actually pushing companies to do better, you know, by all means, they can stay at the top and continue to push the envelope. And yes, you know, there are things that we can say that not everyone can afford Prime1 Studio in comparison to Sideshow, but at the end of the day, you know, we're not comparing quantity over quality. We all know that Ferrari or the Lamborghini or all those cars are the best in the world. You know, we know that. A Ferrari is one of the best cars in the world, and the label is there. You don't need to fight it, and they don't sell that many in comparison to Ford. Yeah, Ford may sell a lot more vehicles. You know, Toyota or Honda, I have 2 Hondas. You know, I love my Hondas, you know, but if I have to compare that with a Ferrari, you know, a Ferrari is a Ferrari, and Prime1 Studio is a Ferrari. It's the Ferrari of the collectibles world, while, you know, Sideshow is pretty much the Honda of this world, you know, and whether we like it or not, that's the fact. All right, so now let me give you my top 10 reveals of this presentation. Yes, there were a lot of bangers here, and I love everything they did. Pretty much everything. Even if I'm not a fan of something, I'm still gonna love it because there was amazing art there. The first one, I'm gonna go by technically, there's no order here. I'm just gonna pick them. The Gurren Lagann diorama, the quarter scale statue, Kamina, Simon, and Joko with the Lagann. That was an amazing. From all the stuff that they did for anime, Gurren Lagann was probably my favorite. First, because I love the franchise, I love that license. Back in the early 2000s when Gurren Lagann came out, that's when I got back into watching anime. And Gurren Lagann right next to Samurai 7 were my 2 favorite back then in those years. That's what brought me into really go back to anime. And it's still one of my favorite shows. And I feel that is the perfect representation. Of course, it's not the first time they have done Gurren Lagann. They did one statue, of course, before, but this with the main characters, the human characters, that to me is just perfection. The way it was presented, the way it was portrayed, the whole concept, and the way they brought the concept together, that's just perfect. It was just perfect. There's nothing that I can say, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong. No, it was a perfect way to bring all together. My second favorite is John Wick and Kane, the collaboration they have with Blitzway. I was blown away by that one for sure. You know, I'm a big fan of Keanu Reeves. I love Neo. Neo is my guy. You know, I love The Matrix. But I think the way they really brought this character, John Wick and Kane, looks fantastic. I love the pose. I love definitely the detail. It's a very sexy looking piece. Both pieces are very sexy looking for sure. And I'm a guy, you know, and I can say like, oh, I'm not going the other side just because I like the guys. It's just because the presentation was excellent. You know, even the base, you know, they have the barrel of a, you know, in this case, a Glock handgun. It's just perfection. It's a sexy, very, very masculine statues. I think they're fantastic, well done, well executed, very elegant. The third in my list is the Lord of the Rings Decay Troll. Even though it's only a teaser, it's a quarter scale, and you're talking about the Decay Troll, it's a huge fella. So I'm not sure how this is going to be big. You know, I would say perhaps other pieces here perhaps have you know, other things that I prefer, but as a Lord of the Rings fan and as a person that loves to see things, I want to see that in person for sure. When they're going after the quarter scale, they definitely are unafraid to bring the sheer size, and that looks massive. So I know that as a quarter scale, that thing is going to be expensive. And I want to see it. I want to see it fully painted. I want to see it in the presentation. I want to see a trailer. I want to see it. I want to see the pictures too. It just looks massive. Number 4, Dark Knight's Metal Lobo Batman. I will tell you this, that was a great surprise. You would think that they're already done with the Dark Knight's Metal collection, which has been so popular, and they have done all these characters, and they now bring Lobo. And the concept was fantastic. Just the portrait, they go with the classic winking one eye, one very open. It's just classic Lobo. And of course, this is from the Dark Knight's Metal storyline, but still, man, it looks really good. Number 5, and this is one that I was, surprised to see, and this is the Alex Ross Superman, of course, based from the Justice storyline. And to be honest with you, I know some people are not happy with this. A lot of people don't like Alex Ross. I wouldn't say that I'm the biggest fan of Alex Ross. We have seen statues of Superman from Alex Ross before, fantastic representations of the art. It's hard to bring his art 100%, and I will tell you that this is not yet where it needs to be. I would put it at the same level, perhaps, of the custom piece that Eric Sosa did, that I think is fantastic too. But I think the potential here is there for a very realistic take. Again, this is a collaboration with Blissway. They're trying to bring not only the art of Alex Ross, but also they want to give it a more realistic feel to. And I feel that that's what they're trying to achieve. The side angle, perhaps the elongated jaw line, it's not necessarily as accurate because he had more like a square jaw. And I feel that perhaps is a thing that they can touch. But regardless, I think the choice was good. And knowing that now they're going and pursuing this collection, now going also, we're going to see Batman based on the same art or the same artist, also going to see Wonder Woman, and they're going to continue on. So I think this is great. I think I like it because they're also exploring. That also gives us hope that, people will say that they're done with DC. They're not done with DC. They're exploring the different things from DC, which, it's a vast universe with so many different storylines, so many different variations. So we'll see how that goes. And number 6 for me is Chainsaw Man Power. And I will tell you, I'm not a fan of Chainsaw Man. I'm not saying that I'm not a fan. I have watched it, but it's not like my cup of tea. It's not like I'm going crazy for it. But what I like about the statue itself is it's a very simple presentation, but it's well executed and sometimes better than other pieces that even Prime1 does. I think they executed everything to perfection. It's a quarter scale statue. The standing of power is well done. The character, even the switch outs are perfectly done. No matter where you put it, I think it's going to look fantastic. The presentation, the hair, all of that, it's just really well executed. And even in the presentation, we saw it right next to the Chainsaw Man. And I think both together, they complement each other really, really well. It's a very gory anime, of course, and of course the manga as well. So, it's going to be represented here in all its gory splendor, if you can call it that. But it does it the right way. And I feel that, fans of Chainsaw Man, which there's plenty out there, are going to appreciate this character. Number 7 on my list is Horizon Forbidden West, Alloy, and Close Strider quarter scale statues. I was really blown away by this presentation here. The choice of the pose, the color, the outfit, I think it's going to be a variant, or they're going to be switch out parts, who knows. It's just perfect. It's a perfect balanced piece. It's beautiful. A lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people are excited with it. A lot of people that are not even too much into statues, but they love the video game. They're really asking for it. You can, I've seen the comments here on my videos too. People are really interested on this one. And it's one of the most beautiful ones for sure in the presentation. The choice was great. The art, the execution, it's a fantastic piece. Number 8, another gaming product, and this is for the Witcher, Trish Merigold. She looks great, in my opinion. And of course, we only saw the teaser, but the presentation, of course, the choice that they did with this, the elegance of this piece, the sexiness of the piece is there. So yeah, it's exciting to see another collection that you would think that probably they're done with it, but with this piece, they are showcasing that they're still working on it. They're still, building stuff. They're still bringing concepts. So there's a lot of potential there. Now, the reveal that really caught me off guard, the one that made my jaw drop, that I was not anticipating something like this to happen. And this is coming from Prime1 Studio, that they normally push the envelope in a way that they are unafraid to really go very mature, very R-rated with this stuff. But in this case, they definitely went far. And it is a beautiful representation. That's the point. That is a beautiful representation of Berserk, Guts, and Casca. One of the most crucial moments for them that really determines what's the point where everything changed in the story and definitely became the catalyst for everything in the story to happen. The change in Guts and everything. If you have read Berserk, you know that this is a very crucial moment. But this is a dark moment. This is one of the darkest moments in the story. And just to see it like that and bringing that cover from Kentaro Miura to life the way they did it, it's just perfection. It's just so gory at the same time so painful to watch, but so beautiful to watch. It's a very painful piece of art, but it's so well executed, and there's no denying that they did a fantastic job. Yes, you know, some people may say, well, that's kind of like sad, because of course this is when Casca gets raped. At this point would be like trying to represent the art of Batman, Bruce Wayne seeing their parents being murdered, and he just standing right next to them, and you come up with a statue like that. It's kind of like that. So it's just definitely on the extreme side, but it was done so well. It's so well executed. It's a fantastic looking representation, and definitely one that is going to get a lot of collectors riled up, you know, because, you know, it's not for everyone. Definitely, it's a tough pill to swallow, but there's one that definitely they did such a fantastic job in bringing to life. Now, the number 10 on my list is Godzilla -1. Phenomenal. I think the way that they presented this Godzilla, and the presentation, they had an interview with the director of the film, which was a great interview, by the way. You can watch it here in the channel too. But, you know, it's just a fantastic diorama, so well executed with the light of feature. Godzilla itself, no matter what, you know, all the different variations of Godzilla are great. But this one, of course, based on this film, that it's for many people considered the best Godzilla film that we have. You know, the modern films, I think, perhaps it is. You know, I'm not going to, you know, say that the previous one with, you know, there have been bad. You know, some, you know, they're good and bad, but this one is definitely very, very Japanese. And the Godzilla that they have here is, of course, is very, very Japanese, not just the American version of it that is more like a big lizard. This is definitely a very, you know, had that very more round feel to it, the round, but they also the texture. It's just an amazing looking diorama for sure. And the destruction that they have on that diorama, it's just fantastic. I think that blew me away. But this thing, I know the only things that I care about. There were so many things, and again, I cannot count everything here, but there's some honorable mentions that they didn't make the cut, but at least they were there, and I was like kind of divided, kind of, you know, doubting if I could add it to them or make a bigger list, but ultimately I decided just to leave them as honorable mentions. You have the Bubblegum Crisis with Josh Nisi. If you're a fan of the 80s cartoon that also was in the 90s, is a, you know, if you're pretty much a fan of the cyberpunk stuff, the news, the trailer was fantastic, but definitely the idea to see Josh Nisi really getting into this classic anime, I'm looking forward to more of that. Street Fighter 6 Cammy, I think she's fantastic. Of course, I prefer the classic Cammy, but I like what they're doing here. I may not be a fan of the way they did the background with the base, but she looks great. I think it's a fantastic representation of her. Of course, they're gonna have Yuri, Marisa too, but I think they pretty much the one that I like the most, and the one that's coming for pre-order, it's Cammy. Neo, you know, as a fan of the Matrix, looking forward to see more. Of course, we know that there's more Neos coming. I think J&D is doing one, Queen Studios I think is doing one, but Prime1 came out the first, you know, and they're doing a fantastic job here. I think also they're doing the partnership with Blizzway, so you know it's going to be good. Also, you know, I do like Full Metal Alchemist, so I like the Roy Mustang and Risa Hawkeye. The only 1/6 scale piece that was not part of the Prisma wing, but that was really great. I love this switch out, looks fantastic, great detail for a 1/6 scale piece. That collection is another collection that I think is growing really nicely, the way they pairing the statues. The last honorable mention that I was kind of undecided, that was the boys, Homelander and Butcher. I think they're fantastic too, another partnership with Blizzway. But you know, you can name, there's so many things that happen in this presentation, so many great things. And again, just coming now to the end of the video, it's just fantastic what Prime1 is doing as a company. Yes, they're pursuing licenses, they're doing fantastic art. I think the art is improving tenfold, it's getting better. The presentation itself is better than before, and you know, there's no denying this company, it can survive. They don't need those franchises to survive. They have plenty franchises, plenty licenses, and as long as there's a market out there that is growing around the world and other different things besides Marvel or DC or Star Wars, they really don't need those, you know, those classic traditional licenses. They can continue on with what they have, and people are still satisfied and excited to see the art and the way they're bringing that art together. So yeah, it was a fantastic presentation. Of course, the Transformers stuff, they have so many things, the Predator stuff, the announcement of Prey, you know, you name it. There were so many things there in that presentation, and we just have to wait and see what's next, you know, what happened. We don't know if it's going to be another presentation at the end of the year or later in the year, or if it's going to be until next year, who knows. But so far what they have showcased is really good, and I think it's going to keep them going. I'm sure they're going to have more other reveals that are going to come along the way. So We will have to wait and see. But what is your opinion, my friends? What do you think about this presentation? Are you a fan? Do you agree with my opinion here? You disagree with it? What are your top 10? Let me know in the comments below. So once again, my friends, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification button to remind you of the next video. Follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The links are in the description. And also consider supporting the channel financially through Patreon. My friends, God bless. Take care. I will talk to you again. Bye-bye.